Hi Eagles, thanks for tuning in for our second What's Brewing teacher feature. Today, we wanted to highlight some of the awesome things that you're doing to build relationships with your students. We hope you enjoy.
The reason for me greeting students at the door and shaking their hands is it's a good opportunity for me to have one-on-one time with a student, even if it is for just those 2 3 seconds. It at least lets that student know that I notice them and know that they exist. During a class period, it's hard to check in with everyone, and that's such an easy way to check in with every single kid at the start of class. And that way they sort of get a sense that that you care about them, or that you just know that they're there, that they are being seen by their teacher. And also, there's a study that came out like a few years ago when the Mavs played the Miami Heat in the NBA championship, and two psychologists they studied how often the Dallas Mavericks shook hands and had just interacted with human touch. And it obviously, it helped them build that strong team culture throughout that 7-game series that they ended up winning. So I like using sports psychology in my classroom as well.
So one of the things that I do to create a better culture within the classroom is I kind of just, when we're doing group work or individual work, I'll walk around and just talk to the students and see how they're doing, how their weekend went, if they're playing any sports, how their teams are doing, how they're doing individually. And a lot of kids seem to really enjoy the idea of you taking that time to ask them how they're doing, and just show that kind of caring side that this job actually means more than just what's kind of happening in your classroom, where you're doing in math, history, science, whatever it might be. And I have also come to find that doing that, when issues do arise kind of down or later in the school years, whether it's behaviorally or someone's sick for a couple of weeks, having that rapport and that ability to kind of connect with that student makes your life way easier. And that just translates into a lot more success within the classroom, not only for you, but for the students as well. And then also just within the class too, a lot more participation. Kids feel confident and happy and excited to be in your class, which makes a huge difference in what you're able to kind of accomplish within that classroom.
In my classroom, I always like to ask my students if there's a reason why they have their cell phones out first, rather than simply telling them to put it away. So that gives them an opportunity to have a voice in my classroom. So I just ask them, is there a reason your phone's out? If there is, you don't have to tell me it, but I need to know if you have a legitimate cause to have that out. And then if they tell me yes, I leave it alone. And then I tell them that I expect it to be away the next day. That way, I address any of their needs and concerns. They still have a voice in my classroom, but my expectations are clear.
Hi guys. So the question is, how do you build relationships with students? And I like to start each class with like a team meeting, and we talk about the workouts of the day. I like to demonstrate new lifts and drills and explain the purpose of them. In Physical Best, the students choose to take that class for one of many reasons, so it's important for me to know the reason why they took the class, whether it's for a sport or general fitness. The students take a survey in the beginning of the year, which helps me get to know them a little bit and how I can work to coach them best. So each class sometimes has a different direction they go, whether it's more endurance-based or a little more strength-based. I'm able to get to know students a little bit more day to day because I coach them in their lifting form. I make lots of rounds around that weight room because we have a lot of new lifters this year, so monitoring safety is very important. It's really cool that I'm allowed to have a contact with each one of my students every single day, and they are not afraid to come up to me if they have questions, if they aren't sure if they're doing something right, because sometimes what they think they're doing and what they're actually doing is very different, and that shows if they're willing to ask that they care about what they're doing, they want to do well.
Thanks for watching, Eagles. We hope you enjoyed this month's teacher feature, and we'll see you in the tea room.